Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelly Strunk. I'm the Associate Director of Praxis.
And I'm Nathalia Santos. I'm an Educational Technology Assistant here at Bryn Mawr.
We're going to present about a course that we worked together on this semester. The faculty member who taught the course, Jim Martin, who works in the Graduate School of Social Work, was unable to be here with us, so we drew upon his knowledge and expertise in the preparation of this presentation. So Praxis at Bryn Mawr College is the community-based learning program. We have 4 different kinds of courses. But the one that we were specifically working with Jim's class is called a Praxis Fieldwork Seminar. It's our highest level Praxis course where students are engaged in 8 to 10 hours a week in the field, and then they also meet in a seminar style class meeting usually every other week for approximately 2 hours. They do traditional academic coursework as part of those in preparation for those seminar meetings. These students were also asked to write several lengthy reflection papers, and then ultimately, because of the implementation of this project in their course, they ended up writing just an additional integration project.
I can show the website. I'll just go back to it.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, if you want to show. So the course that Jim taught focused on the students' experiences as volunteers working in nonprofit organizations. So how was their role contributing to the work of the organization? The well-being and wellness of the clientele. Jim, created a domain of one's own himself, and then he also had the students in his class create domains. And I'm also working on a domain to eventually highlight the course, which we're going to talk a little bit more about here. But this is what his course looked like, and you can go to the link. It's very easy to remember, Praxis Jam. So please.
There's a nice video that the students made.
Yes, which came at the very end and was an additional thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back.
So all students in Praxis courses, Praxis Independent Study and Praxis Fieldwork seminars are required to do some kind of presentation to the community. Traditionally, it's been as part of a poster session, but in this case, we were trying to find an alternative way to present about the students' experiences. And Jim is really flexible and really open to trying new things. And so I said, I'm going to ask Professor Martin if he wants to try this. And he agreed. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so I got pulled in. The semester had already started, and I had a colleague working on this previously. Beth, are you here?
Hi, Beth.
Beth was working on this previously, and then I took on as the semester started. So they already had a syllabus that did not include domain of one's own as part of the assignments. So part of what I've done was sit down with Kelly and with Jim and talk about what were the objectives of the class, what we wanted the students to get out of it, and why to use domains and what was the best platform. So I think using domains was really helpful in 3 different ways. Here at Bryn Mawr, we have the Digital Competencies Initiative program, so we could have students like engaging more actively with building web building skills and more in general. We also had a website that Professor Martin could market to other students that might be interested in taking Praxis classes. It's something that the students can use to promote themselves and take along with interviews and stuff, and it's something that Kelly can market to other Praxis instructors so we can move into a more digital direction.
Yes. So of the several benefits that Nathalia has already mentioned, I think what I heard from the students in the class was that they were really excited to be working in a different kind of creative space, one that they could keep utilizing and updating. In this class, we ended up with 6 students, 3 of whom were sophomores and 3 of whom were seniors. The seniors, when we introduced the idea, said, absolutely. I need to figure out what to do with my materials. It's a place where I can start to house writing samples and things like that. They saw it in this way as something that was helping them as they were exiting the college. The sophomore said, oh wow, I can start this now and just keep building into it. So the student response was better than I anticipated it being, and they didn't seem to feel as if it was too much additional work or learning curve for them to add this into the course after the course had already started. The other things that we talked about in terms of Professor Martin creating this the idea that he created this, and this can be shared with faculty members who are thinking about doing these seminar courses in the future, is really, really important for us. The seminar courses have only been running for about 2 years, and so we've only hosted about 10 iterations, 5 of which have been repeat courses. So the faculty members who are teaching those courses are very familiar with the concept and structure, but other faculty members who might want a sense for what they look like can now have a living sense, so to speak. They're easily shareable, and just-in-time revisions and additions are possible, and so students were making changes and adjustments right up until the time they were presenting. In terms of potential challenges, Nathalia also mentioned that this started after the course had already started. So this meant there had to be complete flexibility in revising the syllabus and accommodating for this new piece that was being incorporated into the meetings. And you came to our class several times.
Yes.
And Christine came to our class several times. So we saw a lot of lids, which was great. One of the things that Nathalia and I discussed that may or may not come up in some courses is, because these students were working in human services settings, I did have some concerns about how the students were presenting the organizations, the idea that this would be public, how they might share this in the future, which is that comment about control over content. I have no control over it, really. We provided strong guidance, and I did quite a bit of, I reviewed and provided quite a bit of feedback, but those are some things that I hadn't thought about kind of going into the course, that maybe some courses work better than others. And then I had mentioned that we typically have the students presenting in a poster session format. We did have these students present in that poster session format, and that probably didn't work as well as we had hoped it would, right? Because it was a very different kind of presentation format. The people who showed up for the poster session were expecting something very different. And so those are things that we'll think about going forward.
Definitely.
Add anything?
Yeah, I just want to add another benefit. I'm a Bryn Mawr alum. I graduated a year ago, almost to this date, and just having this being a part of a classroom setting for students from a low-income background, this gives them an opportunity and a reason to develop a new skill. I always wanted to have a website while I was here, and it was thanks to one of these programs that I actually had a fellowship in here, a digital scholarship with Alicia. It was thanks to that I managed to have the time, the chance to build my own website. So having this as part of the assignment, as part of a class, makes a whole lot of difference for students like me that would not be able to build those skills otherwise.
Any other questions? So we came up with some questions that really stem from the potential challenges that we have already identified. Questions like, what happens to the content when students leave? We know that they can take their domains and move them. They could shut them down. So we talked about snapshots, for example. Are there privacy concerns we should be exploring in greater depth with the students? How does Praxis program alter the final forum to accommodate these kinds of tools? Is it extra work? How do we strike the appropriate balance? What's the best way to share the new faculty resource? If you have ideas, I'm happy to hear them. And then this struck me. We had been working with Beth and Christine prior to the start of the semester to integrate the digital competencies into Praxis Independent Study and the fieldwork seminars in general. And so there were other ways that I asked the students about how they were engaging with the digital competencies. Like how were they seeing it in their field placements? But never once did we actually ask them about this project. And so that would be really useful information. And I have to figure out how to do that in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.